Of all the new technologies that we use at Shelfield, the one that's been the most profound has been 3D. You've only to see the engagement and the progress of youngsters to realise how valuable it's been to us.
We started to use 3D within Shelfield Academy probably about two and a half years ago. We were introduced to it from a company called Gaia Technologies, who currently we work with to develop content. We started off from a small beginnings with just one room where the students used to go to look at content and to see how that could be used within the learning environment. And over time we've realised that and developed a way of implementing it into lessons. Unfortunately, because we've gone through a new build at Shelfield, we've been able to implement 3D in every classroom.
I first got to know about 3D technology in schools when I came on interview here. It instantly impacted on my idea that the initial thing you have to do as you walk into lessons, you have to engage the kids in what you're going to get them to learn. So straight away, even at that time when I hadn't no knowledge of 3D technology at all, that initial point, I knew 3D technology could impact massively on kids' learning.
I think it's really nice to be in a school where there's lots of technology, because you don't just write down off the board, you can surf the internet and find out data from other people as well. So I think it's really fun.
When I first did 3D, when I put the glasses on, I was like, wow, this is like a whole new thing and I've never done it before, and I know that this is going to be exciting, this is going to be like the next big thing and stuff. And I felt like when I was looking at it, I felt like it was actually in real life, it felt like it was actually in front of me.
When we put the glasses on, it's really weird because they'll turn the 3D on and you'll be like, okay, I can't see anything, it's just two blurry pictures, so you just put the glasses on and you're just like, yeah, wow.
Since I've come here, we've moved rapidly, because I've only been here 2 years now. We've got it integrated in Year 7, Year 8. We are embedding it into AS and A2 teaching. It is a fantastic tool for developing students' ability to interrogate material, to inquire about material, to look at material and ask questions about it. Germans are on that side, and their allies, and the British and their allies on this side. But what we're going to look at now, we're going to look at a 3D trench. Put your glasses on.
In today's lesson we had a mix of geography and history, and in the history part we learnt a bit about the World War I trenches using 3D.
It's very hard now, I think, for students to embrace the relevance of World War I, because it is so long ago to them. So I think we have to use whatever tool we have to try and recreate as best we can what the soldiers in World War I went through. Make you jump. Yeah.
It's like fun learning, because you can see things as if you're actually there. And it's really fun because everyone enjoys it, and it just makes the lesson more brilliant.
It's helped improve my learning because, you get to understand things more by actually looking at it and seeing what it is.
When we just look at a boring PowerPoint or copy off a sheet or something, then we're kind of all soaked up in the boredness and we don't learn anything. But when it's 3D, it kind of hooks into our imagination, and it's a lesson that we'll remember the facts of what we've learned.
Touch the right.
Can we go this way?
Yeah. So cool. No matter how emotive or powerful the picture is, it's not as powerful as a 3D image that's moving and sitting in front of the classroom. So there's the brown creatures, there's the rats. I think it probably takes a normal lesson off an hour can be done in 40 minutes in 3D. So if you like, you're getting a bonus 20 minutes every lesson that can develop learning further.
Students are able to retain information much better, they're able to understand much more difficult concepts and to actually see that they're coming alive.
I think your brain works in ways that you remember stuff, and since we'll remember looking through this 3D world, we'll remember it better in our head.
You don't have as much fun if you're doing it on paper, but if you're doing it in 3D, you have a bit more fun, so it makes you want to learn just that bit more.
And when you kind of visualise it in your head, it might be different to what it actually was. So when we actually looked at the 3D, we could see what it was actually like.
We learnt about the Black Death using the 3D screen.
Yeah, and it made everything look real, and it was really interesting. It was I wanted to learn about it more than you would if it was just a normal lesson.
Like with the rat, it felt as if you was touching its tail. You couldn't feel it, but it was right in front of you, so it made it feel more realistic.
It's like stepping in, like back in time, like into that time where they were.
If it was just like up against the screen and you couldn't see anybody else, you'd think you was actually there, but and like you can just hear all the rats and the dogs and stuff barking.
Lessons become more enjoyable because you get more of an experience of what you're talking about, and it builds up like more of an idea of what it's like, and it like draws you in and you get like intrigued and you want to know more.
It's a really good experience to have in school because it's not exactly what you do in a normal school, is it? Like having like a kind of like 3D cinema type thing in your classroom.
I think my learning has improved because you hear the teachers say that this has happened and that's happened, when if you actually like feels like you're like experiencing it, then it like adds a fun way of learning, so you remember it easier.
It's like you're in like a 3D cinema in like the classroom. I used to like history, but now that we do the 3D, it's much more enjoyable.
I've noticed that when we use 3D, the focus of the kids is better. The knowledge, the inquiry, the skills, they've always learned a lot more with 3D.
Like any new innovation, schools need to be very careful about how they implement that to make the most of the potential that's available. What I would recommend for implementing 3D is that a plan needs to be put in place that involves teachers, involves youngsters, so that everybody knows what's going on, but you start small initially and then start building from that when good practice starts to emerge. So it's not complicated in terms of that plan, it just needs to be managed carefully, properly, progressionally, so that the potential for 3D is maximised.
3D is probably the single most significant thing you could do to engage students at a very early age. It also has massive impacts on learning. The students embrace it far more than we do. They look forward to 3D being used in the lesson. If you look at what's produced at the end of the lesson to what's produced at the end of a normal lesson, the amount they produce is significantly better, there's more quality of it, and it's at a higher level. I would have no hesitation in saying use 3D in school, embrace it, go with it. It offers students the best chance to progress their learning.